before we start the video, I would like to thank Matthew Mann for sponsoring this video and many other videos through the Streamlabs link in the description down below. Let's start the video. Boop. Brain mates! Hey, my name is Jordan. I'm from Jordan and you are watching The Jordan Show. Today we are reacting to a video with the title Jordan from Geography Now. It's like an inception. Jordan, 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 Jordan. Oh my god. Rolling!
That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Imagine you're watching like three couples arguing as you sip your tea. Eventually, Protective Services takes away their children. You are like the only person that signed up for foster care, so the authorities drop off like 8 kids at your doorstep. Oh, and you're kind of like on welfare, even though you're a doctor. Yeah, that's basically Jordan.
Fuck yeah, that's Jordan. Let's hear that again, because like he was really fast, and I want to, you know, take all of this.
Imagine you're watching like 3 couples arguing as you sip your tea. Eventually, Protective Services takes away their children. You are like the only person that signed up for foster care, so the authorities drop off like 8 kids at your doorstep. Oh, and you're kind of like on welfare, even though you're a doctor. Yeah, that's basically Jordan.
Yeah, that's basically Jordan. So, if you don't know, Jordan, if not the country with the most refugees in the world, it's the second country with the most refugees in the world. Because of all the wars that's happening around us, and Jordan is the only safe haven around here, everybody just comes to Jordan. And if you have any idea about how societies and communities form, this kind of thing fucks up the already existing society or community that is living in Jordan, because it takes a lot of time for for the new refugees and the new entity in the society to actually be part of the bigger society, because this is just life and it doesn't happen like this. It needs so much time. So like it's fucked up, that's fucked up. What's happening here is fucked up. Unemployment is going up the roof. Prices are going up the roof. It's just fucking crazy and nobody is happy. And it feels like a really big refugee camp. Even though, we keep... That's the fucking problem, because like the government keeps telling us, hey, at least we're safe. But at what price? Like you're safe from getting killed, but you are not safe from being broke, from being really miserable, from being not able to actually afford anything whatsoever. Let's keep watching.
It's time to learn geography
now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Welcome to the referee of the Middle East. Jordan is interesting because it operates very differently from all the other Middle Eastern countries in so many ways. Oh, is that like my cue to make a pun? Let's begin this episode. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Before writing the script of this episode, all I really knew about Jordan was Petra and Fatet. That stuff Ismail made me try when I visited Saudi Arabia. But after talking to you Jordanian geograpeeps, I have to say I'm pretty excited to make this episode. First of all, Jordan is located in the Middle East, bordered by 4 other countries: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, and Israel, as well as the Palestinian West Bank areas along the Jordan River. And they have a small coast along the Gulf of Aqaba, named after the town that borders it. Right across the narrow coast of Israel's Eilat, the country is divided into 12 governorates, split into North, Central, and South regions. And the capital and largest city is Amman.
I live in Irbid, which is the one just on the borders with Syria. Okay, I'm literally half an hour from Syria. Yeah, I'm half an hour from Syria. That's it.
located in the center, which by the way was the same place as the ancient city of Philadelphia when the Greeks ruled over it, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. The largest cities after Amman are Zarqa and Irbid, with the busiest airports being the two international ones, Amman Queen Alia International and Aqaba's King Hussein International, with Amman Civil Airport taking in third place. Most of Jordan's current borders were pretty much the byproduct of European colonialism back when it was under the British as the Emirate of Transjordan. The only difference is that now the border extends with the Israeli-controlled disputed Golan Heights area with the Yarmouk River as well as with Syria, and Iraq took a small chunk of the eastern border and built the Ruwashid Air Base, which is now abandoned and being reclaimed by the desert once again. Hey, there's a challenge for you extreme globetrotters. See if you can find a way to trek out to this place. Even though Jordan and Saudi Arabia have an open border policy, back in the 60s they did a little bit of land swapping. The border is totally demarcated with bold trenches, literally cutting through rock canyons and dry desert valleys. With Syria, it's a little complicated. In the populated areas, the borders are bold. They even have a free joint industrial zone shared between the two. But the further east you go into the Syrian desert, the border just kind of disappears and is left for anyone crazy enough to wander into the desolate no man's land to, I guess, cross if they want to. But yeah, you gotta be crazy to do that. The vast majority of people live in the northwest due to its more suitable climate and arable land.
So yeah, like, you know, Jordanians live on only 20% of Jordan, you know, like the green part of Jordan. Like nobody actually lives in the desert, just few tribes in the desert, and that's it.
And otherwise, the cool thing is that Jordan actually has a ton of historical background, lots of places being preserved in places of interest, such as Jerash, Ajloun, Montreal, the Karak Castles, the Roman Amphitheater, Amman Citadel, Ad Dir, the Mayin Hot Springs, the Madaba Map Church, Qasr Amra, Aras Umayyad Palace, the Sikh Rock Walls, the Nymphaeum, the Temples of Hercules and Dushares, the Ark of Hadrian.
Oh, we have all of this, guys. You should totally come and visit Jordan. It's like, it's a really good vacation spot, you know. If you want to go back in time, you have everything here in Jordan. Like, seriously, just come here for 1 week, visit all of these things, and just leave.
Hadrian, Mount Nebo, where Moses is supposedly buried, and the crowning landmark, Petra, which is one of the 7 wonders of the
You know, like, I've been to so many of the 7 wonders in the world, and it's not because Petra is in Jordan. It just has a really different feel to it, because before you actually get to see this, you have to walk in something called a Sikh. Okay, it's like a very old rock street between 2 fucking huge mountains, and it's just like this, maybe this wide, yeah, this wide, and you keep walking and walking and walking and walking. And on each turn, you think you're gonna see this, and you don't see it. And then out of nowhere, you see this huge fucking artwork. And you can't fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's just the shock. You know what you're gonna see. You know what you're gonna see it. But when you see it, it's like you never saw anything before. You know, it's like, to be honest, there's no picture can actually give this place its actual meaning, you know. You have to actually experience this. It's fucking magnificent.
Modern world. Now, from that list, you can probably tell that Jordan has quite a unique backstory, and it just gets more and more interesting as you move along. Speaking of moving along. Now here's where things get a little difficult. Although beautiful sights abound, in terms of resources, Jordan kind of doesn't really have much going for them. First of all, Jordan lies at the crossroads between 3 continents in the easternmost parts of the region known as the Levant, or the areas closest to the Mediterranean in the Middle East. The country is basically divided into 3 main regions, north, south, and west. The majority of the land lies on a plateau within the Syrian and Arabian deserts, flanking the east and south, loaded with dry basins and riverbeds that collect water in seasonal winter rains, which evaporate shortly after. Like, seriously, if you look at the satellite images of Jordan, the entire desert is like scribbled with infinite amounts of dried up drainage network estuaries, indicating that at one point Jordan had a lot of water. Otherwise, in the west you have the Jordanian highlands, where you can find the highest peak, Jabal Ad-Dami, located in Jordan's top natural landmark, the famous World Heritage Site, Wadi Rum, which is basically Mars on Earth.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. If you want to actually feel like you're on another planet, you have to go there. Like, I spent 1 month there, and every day in the morning, I wake up and I convince myself that I'm still on this fucking planet. It's just brilliant. It's just like, there's absolutely nothing like it. It's fucking beautiful.
No, seriously, they even filmed The Martian in this desert. Which, by the way, have you guys noticed Matt Damon always makes movie posters with text over his face? Like, what's up with that, dude? Can you, like, maybe establish more of a context or setting? Sorry, off topic. Moving on. The highlands go all the way up to the largest lake, the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth.
We have the lowest lowest point on Earth, literally. Yeah.
Up to 9 times saltier than any ocean, shared by Israel, which is fed into the longest river, the Jordan River, which completes the rest of the western border. The only lush and arable land that they have is in the northwest, just along the tri-point of Israel and the Israeli-controlled disputed Golan Heights area and Syria. This is the only area where you can find forests, grasses, farms, and sufficient precipitation in the form of both rain and, yes, even snow. Now here's the unfortunate aspect. Jordan is one of the 3 least oil-producing countries in the Middle East, the other 2 being Israel and Lebanon. Technically, you could also include Afghanistan and Cyprus to this list if you consider them Middle East, but up to you. Anyway, although oil shale deposits do exist in certain spots across the desert, it is far from being
lately I read an article that Jordan produced 20 barrels of petrol every day. 20. Fuck me. 20. Guys, 20 fucking barrels. That's it.
Anything from a significant economic commodity that they can depend on, and to this day most of the oil is imported from their neighbors. Add on top of that the fact that Jordan is consistently ranked as one of the driest countries in the planet with only about 145 cubic meters of water per capita annually.
Yeah, we have no water, guys. We have absolutely no water. It's fucking scary. It's actually very scary. It's something... Yeah, it's fucking scary. No water, guys.
It's so dry that most of the wild mammals have become locally extinct or are reduced to remnant populations, including the national animal, the Arabian oryx, which had to be reintroduced through a breeding program. Otherwise, birds and reptiles are the only main wildlife species you'll probably see, including the national bird, the Sinai rosefinch. Only about 7% of the land is arable on 20% of the land that receives more than 200 millimeters of rain a year, the bare minimum required for rain-fed agriculture. Remember that, guys, the 200 millimeter rule. If you weren't paying attention, too late, you missed it. Haha. With whatever little farmland they do have, they grow everything possible from olives to wheat, citrus, melons, tomatoes, which they use in their food. Most Jordanian food follows the typical pan-Arab format. However, some
Jordanian food is fucking awesome. Oh, fuck me. Guys, since I came back to Jordan, I gained at least 20 kilos. I had to fucking figure it out because I can't keep eating. This is fucking annoying, guys. Oh my god.
unique Jordanian specialties might include things like maklube, frike, the Bedouin-style zarb. Although it's more of a Palestinian thing, kanafe is popular, and it's seriously like the most amazing dessert I ever got to taste when I was in the Emirates. Thanks, Basil, for opening my eyes to the glory. And the national dish, mansaf, which can sometimes cost so much when people try to order it for parties and weddings that people actually have been known to take out mortgages just to pay for it. Also, alcohol is totally legal in Jordan, so yeah, just heads up. Putting all of that into perspective, you can probably understand why Jordanians typically say that tourism is their oil. They are kind of dependent on outside sources for resources, and especially since an influx of visitors have been putting a pressure and demand for more food and changing the game up for the past half century. Who am I referring to? Well, find out in about 3, 2, 1. Have you ever had like a hangout spot in your neighborhood that everybody just kind of goes to because they know it's kind of like a place of solace? Yeah, that's kind of basically what Jordan is to the Middle East. First of all, Jordan has about 10 million people and was ranked the top refugee country by Amnesty International. Yeah. The country is made up of mostly Arabs at 98%. However, amongst these Arabs, it's estimated that about a third are non-citizen refugees with illegal status. However, some say that it could be up to 60%. However, it's hard to tell because no specific data reports exist and lots of intermarrying happens. Anyway, the remainder is mostly a small minority of Chechens, Circassians, and Armenians. They also use the Jordanian dinar as their currency. They use the type C, D, F, G, and J plug outlets. Yeah, I've been to the Middle East. It's a weird system. And they drive on the right side of the road. Back to the refugee thing. Basically, since the 6-day war thing that we already discussed in the Israel episode, Palestinians mostly fled to Jordan, as well as a few other places in the Arab countries like Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, and Iraq. The numbers are kind of hard to estimate, but somewhere around 3 million Palestinians are estimated to reside in Jordan, with about 2.1 million registered. Add on top of that, about another 1.4 million or so Syrians that have just entered into Jordan after all the recent conflicts involving Bashar al-Assad and ISIS. This means that Jordan, which is already a water and resource scarce country, has to provide a lot for people that they did not see coming. Keep in mind though, not all Jordanians are Arab. Like mentioned before, there are some noticeable Armenian, Chechen, and Circassian communities that live relatively peacefully amongst them. Most of you probably already know what an Armenian is, but however, for those of you that don't know, Chechen and Circassians are two different people groups that originate in areas of what is now southern Russia, located just above the Caucasus countries like Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Chechens Jordans are predominantly Muslim, whereas Circassians are kind of like a mix between Christians and Muslims. At about 5% of the population, the majority of Christians in Jordan are Eastern Orthodox, and churches can be found in large cities. Christians even make up 9 seats in their parliament, and some hold high positions in other public sector jobs like in the military and ambassadors. Speaking of which, in the quickest way I can summarize the history of Jordan: Bronze Age kingdoms of Ammon, Moab, and Edom, Nabateans, Babylonians, Alexander the Great, the Rashidun and Umayyad caliphates, Ottoman Empire, Great Arab Revolt, end of Turkish control, beginning of British control, borders redrawn, Hashemites take over, welcome Abdullah I, independence in 1946, 1948 war and annexation of the West Bank, influx of Palestinian refugees, assassination of King Abdullah I, failed Jordan-Iraq Union in 1958, PLO forms in Jordan, Civil War and Black September in 1970, PLO leaves Jordan, Jordan-Israel peace treaty signed in 1991, Arab Spring protests in 2011 and 2013, and here we are today. Make of it what you will, but Jordan is often touted by both neighbors and abroad for being one of the safest countries to visit in the Middle East. This is partially not only because of their historical tourism, but also medical tourism industry. The World Bank consistently ranks Jordan in the top 5 medical tourism.
Yeah, we have good doctors, but yeah, that's it. That's it.
Destination.
This hospital that you see in the picture there is in my university, and it's only like literally 10 minutes from my house. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da.
In the Middle East and North Africa, which alone makes about $1 billion in annual revenue. The sad thing though is that after the Arab Spring and destabilization around their neighbors, tourism has dropped about 70% between 2010 and 2000.
Even though we have no fucking, anything happening in Jordan, and it's like nobody's coming to Jordan, and every time when I go out of Jordan, whenever they see my fucking passport, hey, you're from Jordan, you have war there. No, we don't have war. It's Jordan. There's absolutely nothing interesting happening there. I promise you. Sorry. I'm just overwhelmed.
Recently, though, things have been kind of slowly picking back up. Otherwise, some famous people of Jordanian descent might include Omar al-Abdalat, Queen Rania of Jordan, Amir Dib, Muat al-Kasaspe, Diana Corazon, Zadeh Dirani, Mustafa Wahbi al-Tal, Jamil al-As, Haider Mahmoud, Mais Hamdan, Sohir al-Oda, Ali bin Hussein, and of course the royal family is actually a huge hit. Most people actually like King Abdullah II. He actually served in the British Army, Jordanian Special Forces, and is a Cobra helicopter pilot. His wife, Queen Rania, is super popular too, as she has done a lot of advocacy work in the fields of education and health. Also, he and his family claim to be 41st generation direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, so yeah, they got that going for them. Well, as you can probably see by now, Jordan has a lot of people that they kind of have to deal with internally, but they also do a lot of international outreach as well, which means we gotta finish this video with one more segment, the... Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. And to the Arab world, that's Jordan. First of all, the US and UK still have close ties. The biggest US embassy in the Middle East is in Amman, and they are the second largest receiver of aid after Israel. King Abdullah II's mother was British, and many of the royal family has studied abroad in the UK. As a founding member of the Arab League, they, of course, no shocker, get along with most of their fellow Arabs. Egypt is a close friend. The majority of foreign workers come from there, and Iraq supplies Jordan with most of their fuel needs. Saudi Arabia treats Jordan kind of like a sidekick, knowing that they will always trust them and know that they can be loyal. Whereas the UAE is like Saudi Arabia's hot, rich sister that Jordan totally has a crush on. So he hopes to get close to her by befriending Saudi Arabia. However, their best friend would probably be Palestine. Jordan is pretty much the only country in the Middle East in which Palestinian refugees have a real chance at integrating and becoming Jordanian citizens, which unfortunately isn't really the case with other countries with Palestinian refugees. Jordan once took over the West Bank until the Six-Day War, and since then Palestinians have been supported and intermarrying Jordanians for decades, like the Queen. In conclusion, if the Middle East was a body, Jordan would kind of be like the liver, acting as like a safety net filtration system, surrounded by drama on every side, and it's their job to kind of process and reorganize everything with whatever little resources they have left. Stay tuned! Kazakhstan is coming up next.
I don't know what to say, guys. As much as glorifying and nice that Jordan is where everybody knows your name, cheers kind of place, it's really fucking things up that we are that kind of country, and people are giving up. Yeah, it's not a good quality of life whatsoever. And yeah, I really don't. he said everything that can be said about Jordan. If you have any questions, please, put them in the comments down below. Subscribe and smash that like button and tell me what you think about this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get all new videos. Have a beautiful day. If you don't subscribe, you'll never find a girlfriend.
That's my best friend.